Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we're going to be learning how to cut a one shoulder princess dart bustier. So if it's something you would love to learn, please keep on watching, like, share and subscribe. So without further ado, let's jump right into the main video. So the first thing is to get our basic measurement. So the top of the paper here is our starting point. I'm going to come down from there to mark my bust point, which is 10. Then from my shoulder I'm going to come down to mark my under bust, which is 13. From the shoulder I'm going to come down to my waist point, which is 15. I added 1 inch for sewing allowance and I marked 16 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and rule all this line across. So this is my bust line, my under bust line, and my waistline. So I'm going to come up here, divide my shoulder by 2. My shoulder is 15 divided by 2 is 7.5. I'll mark it right there. Then on that point, I'm going to come down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope. Then I'll come here to mark 3 inches for my neck width. Then I'm going to connect the shoulder slope into the neck width like so. Then I'm going to come down here to mark 3 inches for my neck depth. Then I'm going to connect from the neck width all the way to that point we just marked like so. So the next thing is to get our arm length. How to get your arm length: divide your bust by 6, then add 1.5 inches to it. To get a straight line, I'm going to make sure I have my shoulder measurement, which is 7.5 at this point here. So I'll go ahead and connect those 2 points together, then I'll extend the line across as well. So this now become our chest line. So I'll divide this line into 2 equal halves to get the midpoint. Remember we got 7 earlier, so the midpoint will be 3.5. Then on that point, I'm going to go in by half an inch here. Then I'll come to the chest line, divide my bust circumference by 4. I'll mark it on the chest line. Then I'm going to connect all the way from here to this point and to the chest line like this. To get our dart line, we are going to divide our nipple to nipple measurement by 2. My nipple to nipple measurement is 7 divided by 2 is 3.5. I'll add half an inch for sewing allowance, and that makes it 4. I'm going to mark it on all these 3 lines here. Then I'll go ahead and connect this point together. So I'll come to the under bust here on this side, and I'm going to mark 1.5 inches on the under bust and waistline. That is because my bust is small. So bust 30 to 37 can use 1.5 inches. Bust 38 to 41 can use 2 inches, and bust 42 and above can use 2.5 inches. But it depends on how curvy you want your bustier to be. So I'll go ahead and connect these 2 points together. Then on this side, I'm going to mark 1 inch on the waistline and also on the under bust line. Then I'll go ahead and connect the points together. Then from the bust line, I'm going to come down by half an inch. Then I'm going to connect from there all the way to the under bust line to meet this line. Then I'll do the same thing on the other side like this. Then I'm going to go up by 1 inch from the bust line. Then I'll extend that dart line all the way to that point we just marked like this. Then I'll come to my armhole here. I'll measure whatever I have there. Then whatever I have, I'll divide it into 2. Then from that point, I'll connect all the way to our dart line. So I'll come to this line here, and I'm going to mark half an inch from this line. This is for our bust tightening. Then I'm going to mark half an inch down as well. Then I'll connect all these points into the line like so. Then this 1 inch we took for our bust dart here, I'm going to replace it here. I'll replace the 1 inch here. Then I'll extend that line all the way to that point. Then the 1 inch we took here for our bust dart, I'm going to replace it on the chest line as well. And we are going to create a new armhole like this. This is the armhole we're working with. I'll go ahead and outline all this line to be more visible for us to see. So we'll go ahead and input our round body measurement. We've already marked our bust measurement. I'll add 1 inch for seam allowance. I'll come to the under bust line, divide my under bust by 4. I'll mark it right on the under bust line. The 2.5 inches for that intake, I'll replace it. Then I'll add 1 inch for seam allowance. I'll come to the waistline, divide my waist by 4. I'll mark it right on the waistline. The 2.5 inches for that intake, I'll replace it. Then add 1 inch for seam allowance. Then I'll go ahead and connect all these lines together. So this is the place we are going to cut. So go ahead and cut it now so that we can work on the back pattern. So this is basically it for the front. We're not going to cut the whole pattern paper. I'm just going to cut this part and then we'll leave it for now. So go ahead and draft the back pattern. So I've already gone ahead to rule out all the necessary lines we need for the back pattern, our waistline, under bust and bust line, and we have our zipper there as well. So we'll go ahead and create our darts. I'm going to mark 4 inches on all these lines, just the way we did on the front pattern. That is my nipple measurement divided by 2. Then on the waistline, I'm going to mark 1/2 inch on both sides of this dart line here. And I'm going to connect from the bust line all the way to the point we just marked on the waistline. So if you want your back pattern to have a precise dart as well, you're going to connect from the midpoint of this line all the way to the dart line, like so. So the next thing is to impute our round body measurement. My bust divided by 4, I'm going to mark it right on the chest line. Then add 1 inch for seam allowance. I'll come to the under bust line, divide my under bust by 4. I'm going to mark it on the under bust line. Then the dart intake here, I'm going to replace it and add 1 inch for seam allowance. I'll do the same thing on the waistline. Make sure you take all your measurements after the zipper allowance. Okay, I'll go ahead and connect all these points together. So this is basically it for the back pattern. I'll go ahead and cut it out now. I'm not going to cut everything out. You see where I'm cutting from, because we are still going to work with the pattern paper. So after cutting all the pattern paper out, I'm going to notch the center of the pattern paper like this. I'll do the same thing to the back pattern. Then I'm going to open the front pattern. I'm going to open it up. So after opening it up, I'm going to extend the neck width by 1 inch. Then on that point, I'm going to mark a dotted line all the way into the armhole. So it depends on what you want at this point. If you want your own to be high, you can go a little bit higher, but if you want it low, you can come down with your line a little bit low. So it depends on how you want the symmetric neck to be for you. So I'll just connect all these dotted lines together like this. So this is how I want this part to be. Like I say, it depends on what you want at this point. You can take it higher, you can take it lower than this. So I'm going to open the back pattern like this. Then I'm going to fold in the zipper allowance. Remember, we added a zipper allowance for the back, so we are going to fold it in before we place the front pattern on it. Fold it in. You can use your pin or anything to hold it down. Then I'm going to place these notches we marked earlier together like this. So I'll use my tape to hold the 2 pattern paper together so that it doesn't move while we cut. So I'll go ahead and cut along this line. So I'll take this one up and then we'll go ahead and cut the rest of the pattern paper. So make sure you pay attention to how I'm going to cut mine so you don't cut yours wrongly. You know, this thing can be very, very tricky. So if at this point you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please and please hit on the subscribe button, like, share. Subscription is totally free. Just help me by subscribing, like my video. You also leave a comment also. So thank you so much for doing that. I know you're going to do that and I really appreciate you. So this is it for today's video. We've come to the end of today's video. We'll open up the zipper and that is it for it. See you in my next video.